Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Profit Minds podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Stephen 𝐾𝐻, creator of the Profit Minds Growth System, a unique blend of profit growth, productivity acceleration, and building robust business process for scale. In every episode, I interview entrepreneurs and small business owners from around the world with a unique story to tell. You can find the show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple and Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and more. Well, hello, everyone. Today, my guest is Elina Pantalayeva, founder of an e-commerce brand for doodle owners. She turned an idea into a seven-figure brand by focusing on positioning, community, and product market fit. And today we're going to talk about how you can bootstrap your own brand to seven figures using creative marketing strategies. Welcome, Elina.
Hi, Steve. Happy to be here.
So, well, you know the question that I ask every guest. Tell us your story. How did you get here?
Yes, always an interesting question to think back on. Okay, yes. So 2023, I was laid off from my job and I was working in AI tech and I had about 2 weeks of severance. So I didn't really have a plan. And this was about the time where there's a lot of people getting laid off in tech. And it was kind of hard to find a job because there was definitely a lot more demand than there was supply. And then around the same time, I also picked up this book, who's written by my now mentor, but it's called 12 Months to 1 Million. And it was about building a brand and entrepreneurship in general. And I read that book and I was like, wait, I think I can do this. And I decided in the beginning, I was still applying for jobs, but it was around that time of reading that book that I was like, okay, if I'm ever going to start something, it's going to be right now. And so I joined his community and I just started learning everything about e-commerce, manufacturing. I liked the idea of e-commerce because it's one of those businesses that can scale without you. So once you have your product on there, and it's generating reviews, you can kind of make money while you sleep in a way. And that's what pushed me to that idea. And that was the beginning of my e-commerce brand.
Wow. Yeah, so you weren't an entrepreneur growing up. Did you have exposure to entrepreneurs when you were younger before you just decided to become an entrepreneur?
I've always had an entrepreneurial bug, so my family and we immigrated here when I was 3 years old from Ukraine. And so I never really saw an entrepreneur in my family because growing up, a lot of it was about stability. So I just never even realized that that was a potential path. So in college, like I would buy things off Craigslist and flip them on eBay. So in a way, that was entrepreneurship, but I never really equated that as, okay, like I'm an entrepreneur. This is what I'm doing. And so when I read that book and when I got laid off, I was like, okay, I want to do something for myself. And that I took that as getting laid off as like a sign from the universe that, okay, I'm single. I was 27. Like if there was ever a time to do something, it'd be now.
To do something just absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't have that much money. So I cashed out my 401(k) and I was like, okay, well, if anything, I can probably rebuild this at some point. Um, so that it did definitely help that I was in my 20s from a risk perspective.
Sure. You're not providing for a family
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
hmm
So talk to us a little bit about um, how you got started. How did you bootstrap this thing? You said you cashed in your 401(k). That's not can't have been a lot of money at that point.
Yeah,
So
not
so
crazy.
yeah. So what were the steps? What did
Yeah.
you do?
So at that time, so the other thing I was thinking was like, okay, I can either get a job and keep doing what I was doing before, which is fine, like I'm comfortable, etc. For my age, I was making good money, so this was actually a big jump now that I remembering and thinking back on it. But I was like, with high risk comes high reward. So if I actually want to completely change my life, and because I was even though I was making good money, I always felt like there was something more and I was kind of bored and like stagnant. And so I was like, okay, I have to completely change my life if I want to change my life. So that's what also pushed me to doing this. And so I knew that if in order for me to build any sort of e-commerce brand, I had to somehow be different than all those other big brands out there. So when I decided to start a dog brand, I knew I just couldn't start a dog brand because what would happen is those big brands, like they have millions of dollars behind them and they'll
Right.
just crush me. Like they'll just run more ads than me. They'll outdo everything I'm doing. So I had to niche down into something where I could speak to the pain points of a specific group of people. So I looked at my dog, and he's a Bernese Mountain Dog mixed with a poodle. And I was thinking, like, okay, there's a huge trend right now of people mixing dogs with poodles because they're hypoallergenic. They're called doodles.
Right.
And I was like, okay, like let me make a brand for doodles so that all my marketing copy could be, "Are you a doodle owner?" And that could stick out more. And I didn't, I'm not an expert in doodles. I'm just a normal person with a dog. So what I did was I went into Facebook groups and I just posted in there like doodle Facebook groups. And I was like, hey, would anyone be willing to talk to me about the challenges of having a doodle? And I talked to 15 people to gather different pain points. And it was very clear that the number one pain point and challenge of having a doodle was that their hair is hard to brush through and it gets tangly really easily. And that's
Huh.
how I came up with the first product, which was a doodle detangler spray to help with brushing through the dog's hair.
Wow. And I saw on your website, I saw a demo of that
Hmm.
and wow, made a huge difference. And
Hmm.
I'm guessing the dogs like it too,
It
because
depends.
because that they don't get their hair pulled every time they try to get brushed or combed, right?
Yes, it definitely like in that perspective, I don't think they realize they like it, but it does what it does is it makes the dog more comfortable. It helps makes brushing quicker, easier, and more comfortable for the dog.
Right.
Uh, I don't know if when they're getting sprayed if they know
Yeah, yeah.
that,
Well, that's a different problem. But your dog or the dog that was in the demo was certainly very calm as you were spraying it. I guess
yes,
been through that before.
yep, yep.
Um, yeah, so that's interesting. So you looked for a problem, right? You or looked for a
Mhm.
community first, actually, it sounds like, and then searched there for the problem
Yep.
that the people had, and then developed a product that would solve that problem for them.
Yeah, that's a huge, I think if someone's listening, like this is a huge takeaway for me, like looking back and that I talk to other people about. It's you when you start a business, a lot of businesses fail because they are creating a product, but they don't know if anyone actually wants it. So what if you reverse it? What if you figure out what the people's pain points are and create a product to solve that pain point? And that way you're not guessing. You're creating something that you know that these people already want. So selling is so much easier. You don't feel like you're constantly like haggling with people. You're legitimately providing them something that they actually want to buy. So that's how I create all my products is talking to my audience and seeing what they want and creating products to help them.
Yeah, I think that's really key here, right? Is because most of us, when we, myself included, when we started a business, we said, well, gee, what am I good at? Or what do I like to do? And then
Hmm.
you went around searching for an audience that you thought might respond to it or might need it or might want it, right?
Yeah.
Um, Whereas what you did was said, well, here's an audience that I'm a
Yep.
part of, a community that I'm a part of, right? You're a doodle owner like all these other people. And I know I have problems, but I don't know if those are universal problems. So let's go ask the community that I'm a part of. I think
Yeah.
that's
The
that's
yeah.
brilliant.
Thank you. And the way this was able to grow quickly was because I found from these people that figured out that that was the pain point. So then I started working on the product, developing it, but at the same time I started building my own community of doodle owners. So I started posting on social media, I started building an email list, etc. So I was creating my own doodle community so that I could launch my product to that audience. Because this would have never, a lot of people fail on Amazon, for example, because they list their product and then it's crickets. Like then you have to spend so much money, but you have zero reviews on Amazon. So nobody wants to look at your product and buy it. You have no trust. And then you spend all this money on ads, and a lot of it is really wasted because, again, you have zero reviews, so nothing converts. But what if you built an audience? You kind of documented your journey of building this product. I was writing emails like, okay, talk to the manufacturer today. I was bringing people along the journey so that when I launched the product, even though I didn't have proof that it worked in reviews, people were bought into the journey enough that they were willing to take that chance and buy the product because they trusted me because I was documenting and showcasing everything as I was building.
Now also a very interesting approach, right? As you were building the product, you knew there was a need that the product would fill, but it took some time to develop the product. So
Mhm.
you used that time rather than just waiting until the product was done and saying, "Okay, community, come get it." You involved the community in a conversation
Yeah.
around, or in, as you said, in the journey of getting to a successful product.
Yeah, like I would get samples. I would set, in my case, I have a physical product. So I would get
Right.
samples. I would send it out to them. I'd have them test it. I'd test it on my dog. People would provide feedback. Like they were involved in the journey. So, of course, when I launched it, they wanted to buy something that they were a part of. People love being a part of a story. They love being a part of an underdog story, which I didn't realize this as I was doing it, but looking back, like that's what it was. And now this is easy to like to see uh because they're like, oh, this is so cool. Like they almost see themselves as you, and they're like, oh, that's so cool. She like has no experience in this, and now she's trying to build this. Oh, that's how you reach out to a manufacturer. Oh, cool. Like this actually is broken down really easily, and they enjoy seeing that.
Oh, that's great. So that's building community and product market fit. What did you use for? Because the other thing you said was you focused on positioning, community, and product. What did you use in the positioning piece? How does that fit in?
So that was marketing towards doodle owners. So again, I think niching down is so important in the beginning. Other people will find you. I have a ton of other dog breed owners that use the products like Shih Tzus, Schnauzers, etc., who have tangled hair, but I never ever market to them because I have a core audience that I'm serving. I'm going to continue serving them, and this is how you stand out. If you're a doodle owner and you see an ad that says, "Are you a doodle owner?" or "Do you have a golden doodle?" or you see influencers, you're on Facebook and you see a bunch of influencers post with doodles posting videos of this doodle detangler spray, you're going to choose this over just a generic one. And then that's how you start building reviews and an actual brand that not only you get cash flow from every month, but you're actually building long-term equity because you're building a trust within a community, and people are going to keep buying more products that you release. And so some big player is going to come in and want to buy your brand in a couple years.
And is that your eventual goal, or have you done that already successfully?
That is, my eventual goal is to sell.
Okay. So talk to us about the no team, no investors, no prior e-commerce experience. Obviously, how did you figure out where to go and sell this stuff?
So I read that book and then I joined a e-commerce community once I decided that I wanted to be a part of, or I wanted to do this and that was joining a community of people that are doing something that you want to be doing. Like it saved me so much time, and it's an investment. but it saves you so much time and so many mistakes that you would have made and so much mental stress. Because I've made friends there and I could go ask people like who've already done it, should I do this or this? So I avoided a lot of mistakes, but that's what I did. I also spent a lot of time on YouTube University, just learning, okay, how do I reach out to manufacturers? And now ChatGPT and AI is so much more of a thing. It had just started then. So you really 99% or probably 70% of this, you can talk with AI and figure out what steps you need to be taking.
Yeah. So, and I understand you have a community as well that you have that you help people do this kind of thing. You want to talk a little bit about what that does and what that's like?
Yeah. So I help people that are more in their 9 to 5s. And this was because this is how I felt. 9 to 5, probably a good job, decent, like high paying job. And, and you should be really happy in it. But for some reason, you feel like there's something missing and there's something more and you want to be doing something on your own, but you don't know what that is. You don't know how to start a brand. You're stuck in analysis paralysis mode. And that I help work. I have a community where we help with those kinds of people. We have a group where we meet twice a month, and really it helps you get you unstuck and to start taking action.
Yeah, that's got to be key, right? The taking action, and that's clearly was, I said, and for you, the event was, hey, I don't have a job. But for other people, what are some of the triggers of some of the people that you've helped? What are the things that trigger them? Is it all people that have gotten laid off, or is it sometimes people that
No.
just say, I want to do more. I want to have more.
Yeah. It's mostly that I actually recommend, like, I was put in a unique situation, but people are always like, should I quit my job? And I say no. I don't think you should quit your job. I think if you don't quit your job and you actually start something, it's essentially like your job is your first investor because you get the cash flow you use the cash flow that you make at your 9 to 5 and you can invest that into your business. And that's key. But yes, a lot of the people, it's like they're in these jobs, but they know that they could be doing something more with their life. They want to be, it's just so boring and mundane, or it's just unfulfilling. And they're just a lot of times like you're scared to take that action, right? I was making $175,000 at 26 years old. It's hard to start something new when you already have a good job. But I knew that I did not want to be doing that my whole entire life. I did not want to be sitting at my desk. I wanted agency over my own time. I didn't want to be asking my boss for PTO for a week. If I wanted to go swimming with the dolphins on Tuesday, I wanted to be able to do that. Do I do that? No. I spend a lot of time at home, but I like the freedom of being able to do that. And I think everyone deserves that and can make that happen. It's just knowing what action to take and actually taking that action. And a lot of times, if you're just on your solo island, and especially if you're with your family who doesn't, they like your stable job, they don't want you to take a risk and do that. You need some outside help and you a community to actually push you and that believes in you and helps you. Okay, what's that next step that I should take?
Yeah. So can you walk through the steps that you take people through as they are deciding, whether or not they're going to do this and what they might choose to do and those kinds of things? Can you help us understand what are the critical steps? What are the critical decision points that people need to wrestle with before they decide to, launch?
So a lot of people that join the community, it's like they've already decided that they want to do something more. So they're not in like that undecided mode.
Okay.
That's a whole different kind of group of people, but they just maybe haven't started or they've started and they're stuck. And so most of the brand, I work with different types of brands, but most people I push them to, I really, really like the idea of e-commerce because it scales without you being there. Unless you're so passionate about doing nails or like a service-based business of some sort, I think e-commerce is a huge win for this specific period of life where you're trying to a passive where you're trying to generate enough passive income to cover your life essentially, or like
Mm,
security in your life. And so then we start with picking a person. So who we talk about, like I always encourage people to think about who they are or what transformation they've either gone through or they're doing it. So like for example, if you were 300 pounds and before and you now you lost a bunch of weight, like that's a transformation that you went through, and that's like trust, that built-in trust that you already have. And so we start with that, and then we also, because I'm also actively building my ecom brand, just I'm steps ahead. I very much am familiar with the tactical steps of building a brand. Like, when should you go on Amazon? How do you reach out to manufacturers? Who should you talk to? What do you say to influencers, et cetera, et cetera? So it's like a mix of mindset, strategy, and tacticals.
great. Yeah. So, um, what what are the biggest impediments for people when they're trying to do this? What are the what are the things that they really need to make sure that they overcome or they're prepared to work through to be successful like you've been?
It's all like
Yeah.
beginning first year, it's all mindset. You don't believe in yourself, and you have no reason to believe in yourself, right? Like you've never done it. Why would you believe in yourself? Um, you've never proven to your brain that you can actually do this on your own. So it's like, okay, so how do we start training your brain to believe in yourself? All right, well, what if we start with giving get do setting commitments to yourself, like I'm gonna go to the gym 3 days a week and actually sticking to them, and little things like that that compound over time to train your brain, like, okay, this is the type of person when he or she says they're going to do something, they're actually going to do it. But like I'm telling you, 90% of this in the beginning is all mindset. It's all imposter syndrome. Why me? And so it's a lot of working through that, because the tactical stuff, like none of it's hard. It's all, once you know the blueprint, like nothing is rocket science, but you get stuck along the way because you see this shiny object over there, or your wife said that, like, hey, stop wasting your time on this. And then you're like, oh man, yeah, you know what? Like maybe I should stop wasting my time on this. Things like that.
Yeah. And again, that comes back to the community.
Yep.
You need a
Yep.
community of support, really important. I always, the other thing I'll say is, if you don't have a community, you need a coach, right? You need somebody to, that can help you stay accountable to yourself, to your goals, to the things that you need to do. Um,
Agree. Yeah,
so,
being around people that are ahead of you and around people that are where you're at, like both. That's why I like yes, you can do one-on-one, but that's why I like the aspect of like a group more,
mhm.
because you actually learn from a lot of the questions that other people ask that are in the same stage as
Sure,
you,
sure.
as well, and you become friends with them, and you get support from them, and you feel like entrepreneurship. It can be really lonely. You're behind a screen 90% of the time, so having other people that are doing it with you actually feels like you're not on an island by yourself.
That's right. No, that's a really good point. So, um, do you have a free gift to offer the folks that have stuck with us this long and
Yeah,
listen to your to wonderful advice that you've given us?
yeah. Reach out to me on Instagram, ecom with Elina, Elina, and we'll schedule a free discovery call. I'd love to just chat with you, see where your business, your brain or your brand is at, depending on where you are, and give you just a free hour of coaching, or just sometimes people just want to vent, and I get that. And so that's my free gift.
Okay. So reach out on Instagram is the best way. Is that the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Good. Thanks. And that concludes our show. Thanks so much to my guest, Elina Pantalayeva, the founder of an e-commerce brand for Doodle. Something about how you can bootstrap your own brand to seven figures using creative marketing strategies. I know I did. Thanks for listening. You've been listening to the Profit Minds podcast. This is your host, Dr. Stephen Kirch. please visit www.profitminds.net for other episodes or to contact me. Thank you for your positive feedback, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others. Thanks for listening. Have a grateful day.